What do you want? I'm in the middle of a podcast. Leave me alone.
This guy who really is, I think, a bad guy. Russell, I think you are a bad guy.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what the truth.
I don't want him knowing where I live.
You can hate Russell, but one thing you cannot take from Russell is his ability to play that game.
I ain't finished playing just yet.
Welcome to the Russell Hantz Show. Today we have Cody Dunlap back. How you doing, Cody?
I'm thriving.
Thriving, yes. Of course you are. Man, today I want to talk about, and I see you a lot on Twitter, I want to talk about what's going on overall on Big Brother 19. I don't want to talk about each, an individual episode like I usually do. I want to talk about it in full, like maybe the bullying that's going on, the stuff that they're talking about. Raven, is she sick? Is she not sick? She's saying she's dying. Just everything. What's acceptable in a game for $500,000? Is bullying acceptable? People are going against them sometimes, and the internet right now. For instance, Paul was a hero when he first came out the first time. Now he's a zero according to the internet. So I want to go over each and every individual thing that's going on that you think that maybe. I don't know if you're going to think that anything is not acceptable in a game for $1 million. But, is it okay to do what they're doing and do the things that Josh is doing? And, what would you do if he was doing that in your face? And what the hell is going on with these people, man? Especially, right now, I know we're jumping way ahead, but Cody is a member of the jury that votes for $500,000, right? He's a member of the jury now, and they're still doing what they're doing. Like, I don't think they're ever going to change. I don't think they're going to stop bullying and stop trying to play. They need to play a social game, right? Is that what it's about? I thought it was. That's what people keep telling me.
That's what people say to you. Yeah.
Social game. Then all of a sudden you have Paul. And like I said, this episode's going to be a little crazy, guys. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to talk about everything. So it's not going to be anything in order. So, for instance, Paul, when he leaves the house... I'm sorry. When Cody leaves the house, Paul sticks his feet up to try to trip him out when he's leaving. When he's leaving to get on the jury, to vote for $500,000, he's trying to trip him out the house. It's like, hey, man, here's the knife. I'm going to go ahead and put this in your back, and you can keep it in there while you're gone. Right?
That's great. That's insane. So stupid, and him of all people, man, should know that because his vote last year came down to one vote. So had he, been able to get one more vote, he would have had 500,000 instead of 50. So him of all people should be aware of those types of things. Every vote matters. Man,
I think something happens to their brains in there. I seriously do. I tweeted
for sure.
I tweeted to Evil Dick not too long ago and said, and was like, do they stop thinking when they enter into that house? Or do they think so hard they forget how to think? Because I know.
Okay, yeah.
That you see, a lot of people won't understand what that statement is. I know you know. Because when you play a game, you're thinking so hard, sometimes you overlook the easy things.
Okay, yeah, I have a take on that. It's not that they're thinking so hard, which is something that I think you potentially could do because you're so competitive and you're a strategic mind. These people are just average people. They're not strategic minds. And the truth is, everyone on Twitter bashes them. But when this many people on a show, which about 90% of them aren't thinking for themselves, 80 to 90%, which is a large amount, the people that watch, that criticize them, a lot of them would do the same damn thing. And it's a shame, but the truth is what happens is when you go on a show, you lose all of your rights. And it's almost like you're an animal and you're caged up in your hotel room in sequester and you're told what you can talk about and what you're not allowed to talk about. And there's so many different little rules. It starts to become like, for some people, they can't think for themselves. And that's exactly what producers in 2017, like modern day producers for TV shows want, because whenever they get someone to stop thinking for themselves, then they can kind of control whatever they do, right? But I compare it to being kidnapped, because in a way, when you go on a show, you are in a sense kidnapped, because you have to go wherever they take you. You have to do whatever they, tell you to. And even once you get released and you're filming, there's still a lot of rules that keep things where you're really confined. And some people that don't have as much life experience, and Cody's in the he's a Marine infantry, so he has a lot of life experience. He's gone to war, and he's done the real soldier stuff, and he has a lot of life experience. So for him, that shit's not phasing him. For me, I felt like it didn't phase me. I don't think it phased you. But the majority, 80 to 90% of Americans, I feel like it will get to, and people just they stop thinking for themselves, and that's what we're seeing this season for sure.
Yeah, and you look, I know production don't blatantly tell them what to do, but they can easily manipulate what they do. For instance, they could shake their head, yes, or whatever, whoever they're talking to. They could lead them into a question. And then stay on point, stay on that question. Let's say they want to trip Cody out the house. I don't think production would have thought that was a good idea, but let's say they thought it was. Then they would say, so do you think it's a good idea that we trip Cody? Did y'all trip Cody when he's leaving outside the house? And then they would be like, well, no, I don't think. And then production would come back, you sure? You sure that's not a good idea? Because I think that would make for good TV. Tell me an example of how that would be a great idea to trip him. Just tell me an example. Well, that's I think we need to trip him outside the house. You see what I'm saying? What they do is they manipulate how you. They don't tell you, but they Jedi mind trick your ass when you're weak. Just like you said, probably 80-90% of the people get Jedi mind tricked by production. And then when they get out the house, they don't even know what happened. They still don't know what happened. They'll say, no, they didn't tell me to do anything. I did everything on my own. Yeah, right. You did all that on your own. But that's not the case. Because they are being manipulated by production. You better believe that. And that's what's happening. Should we get rid of Paul? No, don't. That is a no-no. Do not think that one time, or you will be gone. I know they don't say that. Yeah. They can easily manipulate that. Look what happened to, what was her name? That's just Dominique. She wanted Paul gone. All of a sudden, Dominique's out.
Yeah, so just to say it in another person's words, because I agree with you exactly, and that is the truth. With Big Brother, it's actually a little bit different, but all shows are like this too, because if you're a producer and you're in that spot, you have to Jedi mind trick these people into doing whatever you want. And you have to do it in a way where you're not telling them, because then if you tell them, well, then they know. So you want to do it in a way where you're controlling them, without them knowing that they're being controlled, right. Especially in Big Brother, because it's got the live feeds. And although sometimes the live feeds go to Fish or go to Kittens, in this case this season, if you were to straight up tell someone, hey, Paul's coming for you, you better watch out for him, or they probably wouldn't tell someone that. They would tell Paul, hey, Paul, so-and-so is coming after you. They wouldn't do that, because that runs the risk that Paul or the person that they're helping out would say, hey, right. Production threw me a bone. So they would say it in a way like you gave the example, where they ask specific questions, word the questions in certain ways, and then if the person's still not getting it, they ask you in different ways again. And it's frustrating, man. And I think the truth is, when these shows first started, when reality competition shows first started getting big, there was none of this, and then there was a little, and then it's grown into where the producers are the ones playing the game, right. And we just see the people that they're controlling. So it's interesting, and it's something that I always knew was part of the game, but I never knew how much it was. And this season of Big Brother 19 is really showcasing that. And to even people who have never, gotten the experience to go on a show, that are just fans watching, they're all seeing it now. And you go on hashtag BB19 and you see everyone calling stuff out. But it's kind of becoming part of reality competition TV, and I'm not a big fan of it, man. It really turns me away from it. I actually I've stopped watching Big Brother this summer because of it. So it's disappointing because it's been such a big, like, it's like probably my number one obsession, you know, my hobby in life. I like watching sports and I like watching these reality shows. Right. But it's getting to the point where it's just like, it's dumb because it's not pure. The game isn't pure anymore like it used to be.
Yeah, and to be fair, production is only doing their job. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. But what happens is the weak-minded individual falls for it. You don't have to fall for it. Trust me, they tried that shit on me. Trust me. And I did what I wanted to do. I literally had one producer tell me, "You're ruining the whole season." And that was season 19, a great season. That's because I was getting rid of the good personalities, and she was serious. You know, I was getting rid of the good personalities right off the bat. So, but I wasn't letting them determine what I did, and that's what makes that's what makes you a great player. You're a legend in the MTV. In that, if they had a series of what was it, the $1 Million Stranded? If they had
Stranded with $1 million.
Okay, if they had a series of that, you would be a legend. Now, I talked to Phoebe about this. I do a weekly podcast with my co-host Phoebe on Australian Survivor, and I talked to her about this. Now, legends are different. They're different than everybody else. They don't let production tell them what to do. They might shake their head at production like, okay, but they'll do something opposite. They'll make production mad at them. Now, you know, and that's what a legend is. A legend is somebody that can take control of the situation and be great with it, like Evil Dick. Like, you know, the great ones from Big Brother, the great one, even Boston Rob, even though I don't like him. You know, Sandra, she's a legend. She's won twice. You can't take that from her. You know, those people, you can promise, I promise you, anybody that I consider a legend will not be swayed by production.
Yes, no doubt. You definitely have no one holds a gun to your head and forces you to do things. It's just, they, you know, put you in a position where the weak-minded crack, there's a science behind it. You know, the whole process and all the rules and stuff.
They're good.
It breaks 90% of people.
They're good, man. They know what they're doing. Just like production.
I wanted to hit on what you said about somebody in season 19 telling you that you're ruining the season, right? Mm-hmm. It's hilarious because a producer, when they see somebody going rogue and doing what they want to do instead of what the producers want to guide them into doing, they freak out and they're like, "Oh shit, you're ruining the season." The truth is, season 19 of Survivor revived that series, and ultimately it was in a really bad spot. And that season is what brought a lot of the fans back to watching. And for me, I watched like the first 10 to 15 seasons. I stopped for a while, and then that season brought me back. And I know a lot of fans that's the case. So it's just funny to me how these producers think that by them not having full control over the contestants, it ruins the show. I think the opposite. I think if they were to play lesser of a role and just let the people naturally act how they act, it would be like, they wouldn't have control and they wouldn't be able to predict where things are going. But I think it would lead for a better show, and I think it would be big time, especially now. It's been so long since we've seen a TV show where people genuinely you get how they act, and it's pure. It's been so long. I mean, you have to watch old seasons to see it. But I think if someone could crank one out and create a show where they tell the producers, "Hey, we're going to do this a little differently. I know you guys are used to what you're used to, but we're going to try to take a step back, and we're going to try to just be the silent professional that kind of makes this a show, because we got to get what we got to get, but we're not going to influence them at all. We're going to see how they react." And I think that show would do really well, because I think that's what fans want to see. and fans see that Cody isn't controlled by anything, and that's why they
like him.
That's why Cody and Jessica, it's obviously stranded. Not very many people watch the show. It was a very smaller scale. But the fan reaction with Cody and Jessica reminds me so much of how fans reacted to myself and McConaughey.
Right.
They loved us. It was like a 95% approval rating. We had almost no haters on social media. I was a little disappointed, honestly, because I was looking forward to, some haters on social media. But like, everybody loved me, and everyone loves Cody this season. And it's because they see everyone's a puppet. Paul's production's boy. And this guy is the one dude who has a fucking brain in the house. And that's why. And the thing is, like you said, people are rooting for Cody and Jessica solely because they're the underdog. These people that are rooting for them don't like them as humans, and they hated them week one. The same people that hated them week one, like, will defend them now on social media. And it's all because they're the underdog, and it's because they're the only people that aren't controlled by production, the people that can kind of see the big picture and what's going on. So they're not even great players, and people love them. Imagine if Cody and Jessica were also great players.
Right.
Because they're definitely not, man.
They're not good at all. When it comes to strategic, it was just terrible. The move she made with Ramses, just terrible. And,
Look
by
at their
saying...
HOH weeks.
Yeah, I know. She gave it away. Trash. So by production saving Paul, and we ain't stupid. We all know that production is saving Paul. Paul even knows it. He said to Josh, "What do you think that golden? What was it? A golden egg or something? Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Who do you think that golden egg was really for? It was for me, to be safe for the week. And as soon as he said that, we start seeing puppies. They cut the live feed because." Paul knows that they're trying to help him along in the game. And for some reason, they think that it's helping. They need to look around. It's not helping. That's not helping the show right now. Dragging along Paul is hurting the show. Let it go. Let things happen as they may. Then you may have a good show. The only person that I can see right now that actually would get rid of Paul, I don't know if you agree with this, but I think that Christmas, sooner or later, is going to be like, well, that's the big move. If I get rid of Paul, then I win this game. Somebody like Christmas. I don't know if Kevin has the balls. It's Mark's. Mark should be thinking that, but I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he has the balls to do it either.
Dude, Mark and Elena are so stupid for the way... Now, I haven't been watching, I watched the first 3 weeks closer than anybody can watch the show. I see what's going on because I'm a nice guy and I followed a lot of my fans back from my show, so they all watch it, so I see what's going on. But the way Mark and Elena associated themselves with Cody without it really benefiting them is so stupid to me, because if you decide, hey, Cody's good for my game, I want to use him as a number, there's a way to do it, there's a way not to do it. But just a showman's approaching him is so dumb, because now you just isolated yourself as 3 targets, 3 sitting ducks, when you could have maybe, got in a group of 4 or 5 together and then added Cody to that, and then all of a sudden, it's like, why would you two just walk over? You have a clear-cut target, Cody's going next, and then you got a showman's, right? Okay, thanks, 3 easy targets for us to line up and knock down. And that's what's looking like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's just so frustrating.
It's so frustrating because they're so stupid. For instance, let's talk a little bit more about why did she even put Ramses up? Why would you even do that? It was her.
Dude.
It was her HOH, and she did what Paul wanted. Like, what the hell was she thinking? There you go, people. Jedi mind trick production doing the Jedi mind trick, and made sure she kept it like it was and didn't backdoor Paul. They didn't want that to happen.
This is why I hate the Jody fans that are just like, Cody and Jessica. It's like, if they were playing the game, hell yeah, I would jump on that bandwagon. But they're so bad at playing Big Brother. And she's claiming on her Instagram lives that I've watched the show for so long. It's like, well, then what the hell? Did you watch the show for all these years and not learn anything? I mean, Paul Cody showed his hand week 1. He's going after Paul. Paul clearly is going after you guys. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
man.
not going to change. That's not going to change.
Yeah, it's a relationship that's not repairable, so you got to take Paul out. And it's such an easy sell, Russell. I mean, if I was in there, if you were in there, if a lot of your listeners were in there, it would be such an easy sell. You win HOH. You say some common sense things. Hey, guys, Paul's running this game. If we don't take him out now, we might not get the chance. He's got great relationships with everyone. No one's going to beat him in the final 2. It's so easy, man. I mean, you could, if you decided you wanted Paul out, you could do it. And I'm with you in thinking Christmas is most likely, maybe Kevin. But the rest of them, man, are so clueless. It's unbelievable. And the truth is Kevin and Christmas are pretty clueless too. Who do you blame for this? Because I personally, man, I think it's on casting. I think that they should have picked more strategic minds, and instead I don't know what the strategy behind the casting is, but it's for damn sure not to pick a full cast of strategic.
Okay, let's say that Paul wasn't in the house. Let's say that they didn't cast Paul for the house. Man, this would have been so much better. So much better.
No,
because if Paul wins this game, I'm telling you, man, if he wins this game, they're losing viewers. They're not gaining anything.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the damage has been done. If Paul, at this point, the cast is already in the house. Yeah, if Paul leaves, it would be better for the rest of the season for sure. If Paul left this week, it would be better for the rest of the season. But I still think it's a pretty crappy. You're going to get a pretty crappy ending, however many weeks are left, if Paul leaves.
Somebody would have had to step up. I would be interested to see who actually would be in control of the house if Paul wouldn't be in there.
So check this out. If Paul stays, a lot of people are going to keep watching just to root against Paul, which is probably what they're going to be thinking. Because if I hate someone and I really want them off a show, I'll be hooked and I'll be watching, rooting for them to go every week. Whereas if Paul leaves, what I think will happen, Russell, and I see this is the argument everyone makes, all these people are now on a level playing field because they all suck, so it'll be entertaining to watch. But
because they all suck equally?
I don't think that's true in this case because it's almost like if you look at like UFC fights, like if you watch like two people that have never fought before in their life, they're not going to know how to fight. And what's going to happen is neither of them will be skilled enough to knock each other out or submit each other, and they'll just both get really tired, and it'll be boring.
Right.
Big Brother's kind of similar, where you need elite game players for this concept to be entertaining. And if you have a bunch of people that don't know how to think strategically, it's going to be boring as hell. So people say, oh, Paul should have never been in here. I say no. Paul's good. We just needed 5 more people that are like Paul, where they're super strategic and super into playing the game and super aggressive. That would have been cool to watch. But yeah, putting Paul in there with a bunch of chumps is not good. Putting a bunch of chumps in there without Paul is probably even worse. But
right.
I don't know what the strategy is with casting, but it's clearly not. I think for Survivor, it is to pick all strategic minds. And we've seen like a lot of seasons where there's a ton of game players. With Big Brother, it seems like there's very few people that are truly like strategic, truly aggressive. And this season, it seems like there's really Paul's the only person that I would consider a good game player out of the entire group.
Definitely, if he goes to the end, you have to give it to him because nobody is even playing the game. Nobody.
Okay,
he has controls everybody's HOH. Like he tells them what to do.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is, they don't even know it. They think that it's them that's making the decision.
It's hilarious. If I was Paul, I'd be laughing my ass off at these people. But that's the other thing, Russell. So to all you people who really want Paul out, which I can see where you're coming from, part of me hates the guy. I don't hate him. I really loved him last season, and I appreciate him as a game player. But there's been times where I really wanted to see him out, back when Cody was in mainly. But if Paul goes home, who the hell would you be happy with seeing win this game?
Kevin.
Out of the rest of them,
Kevin,
I would think they don't deserve it. Yeah, but I don't.
He don't deserve it either. Oh, nobody deserves it.
Not. That's the thing. So it's kind of like, and then I can kind of justify it to myself, where like, I feel like Paul should have won last season, so he's getting his money from last season.
The only one at this point that I would be like, okay, if he can pull it through, and it seems like it's impossible, would be Mark, because he's been kind of playing, flip-flopping and doing this thing, trying. He knows what's up, but does he have the balls to make the move? At any point, man, at any point, one of these players can win HOH and backdoor Paul, and that would be a huge, big, strategic move at any point. But would that happen?
Yeah, and if you do it, I mean, you have the best case to the jury,
yes,
too.
Paul, you have the game.
You'll probably even get Paul's vote.
You'll win the game. Whoever does that wins the game.
Too. Easy. I mean, you get $500,000 if you take out Paul. It's that easy. And it's so easy to do, too. Easy. It would be so easy to talk people into why it makes sense. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm shocked it hasn't happened yet, but it has to eventually. Somebody's got to say, like, and for Mark, yeah, if Mark were to win, the route he would have to take, his back's up against the wall now, so he'd have to make some great moves to get to that point. So if he wins, I'll probably end up feeling good about that.
Because if he's there, if he gets to the end, he has to get there dramatically because he's in big trouble.
I want to give him a high grade right now for how he's played so far, but it's going to take an A+ effort from him.
Okay, who do you think's in there that's playing the worst game that's left? The worst.
Oh man. Well, like I said, I haven't been watching for a few weeks, but I would say that Alex and Whistlenut seemed pretty dumb to me. Raven and Matt, they're not. Like, Matt's obviously not playing the game at all.
Right, at all.
But I would say not when you're in Big Brother playing like Matt. Actually, there's worse you can do than that.
Right.
Because I mean, he's almost putting himself in a spot where he's gonna be in the final two, and if he just so happens to get in the final two with somebody that played well and people hate or something like that, then he might actually win undeservingly. But
right.
Yeah,
well, his strategic plan is, hey, go ahead and use me as a pawn. Go ahead, use me as a pawn. That's his, it is a strategic play. Now, if he makes it all the way to the end, just doing what everybody else tells him to do, at least he can have a speech saying, "Hey guys, I went up." Go ahead.
Yeah, here's one for you. You're right. Who would he beat in a final two? Do you think? Is there anyone you think he could beat in a final two?
That who could beat?
Who? What is it, Matt?
Who can he beat?
Yeah.
You see, that's when you're getting. That's when it gets tough because it's like
that's a tough question.
It is a tough question because it's like it's almost putting it back in perspective for season 19. I seen this guy on YouTube when I played, and they said, "Do you realize by voting Natalie White as the winner is saying that she is better than all of you that voted for her?" So. Could you have beat her? Because you said that she was better than me. So it's really a tough question. Who could he beat? It's easy to say, oh, he may win because he has a certain strategic plan, but can he beat Christmas? Can he beat Kevin? I don't know because Kevin's going to be extremely popular. Kevin's going to win this game if he makes it to the end because of his social aspect. He's going to be in the next Natalie White.
I was saying, what did I tell you? Christmas was in a good spot. I said that back when I watched like week 3. I told you she's in a good spot, but
right.
Is she's HOH this week, right?
She that's a little bit of spoilers, but she is HOH, I believe. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. I don't even. I mean, I follow a lot of people that watch.
That's not confirmed or nothing. I don't know. I haven't read anything. I'm not sure if that's the case. But let's say she is.
And you said that she's your pick to finally wake up and say, "Hey, we need to take Paul out."
Right.
The thing is, I've thought about with Christmas. I think she's in a really good spot to win if we were putting money on who's going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about how the final HOH goes, and it's gonna be competitions that she's gonna have to sit out of to win that final HOH.
Right.
I don't know though. These people are stupid, so maybe.
Okay, if she was HOH, the thing is, man. Okay, we want to see her backdoor Paul, but let's get in her mind for a second. If she wins HOH, is her best option at this point in the game with these duds? Her best gameplay is not to get rid of Paul right now. That's not her.
Because she's
not at this point. You know,
I was listening to our podcast we did around week 3, and yeah, we went over this then. So even though there's a big target like Paul, and if you're an alpha, if you're somebody who's really a threat or whatever, you're playing the game hard, you want to keep the other alphas in the game. So it's too early for her. But for a lot of people, it would make sense to take out Paul. So yeah, that gets interesting because it's like this isn't smart for her, but it would be funny because yeah, she potentially could be like, oh, wait, I need to take Paul out because he's a threat. But then it would be like, well, Christmas, yes, he is a threat, but you need to keep him in because he's a threat, and he could protect you because if you ever have your back against the wall.
Right.
Like I would want Paul in that house because I would know if anyone ever nominates me, I can say, hey, look, no need to come after me. I got your back. Don't worry, you nominated me. I forgive you. Not a big deal. Look at Paul. He's going to win the game if you let him go any further. Right. And if you're the one that backdoors him,
yes,
you're going to have a hell of a case to the jury. And then all of a sudden that HOH. So you want to keep Paul in the game just so that if
he's the winning
he's your
ticket.
Buyout.
He's the golden ticket. Paul is the one that can make you win the game. So for Christmas, it's too early to move right now to make that move. She needs to let him do what he's doing because everybody's listening to him. And then strike at the best possible time, which I don't know when that is. I'm not in the house. But if you're good, you'll know. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. That's the problem we have with that.
It sucks. I think we'll see how they cast season 20 or Over the Top 2 if they do that. We'll see how it goes. But it's been, I feel like it's been since season 14, which was a really long time ago, since we really had a just awesome season. Mm-hmm. And I mean, somebody's to blame. You can't. It's like
if they drop numbers. I don't know what the numbers are, but yes, if they start losing numbers, then somebody will be blamed. It has to be. It has to be like that.
They got to change it up somehow. They got to whatever they're doing. If they're trying to cast people who don't know the game very well, that way they'll play hard early. Because I talked about it last time when I was with you. If you truly know what gets you to the end in Big Brother, it's just taking naps and not doing a damn thing, playing the mat game, and then waking up from your hibernation with like 4 or 5 weeks left and dominating the finish, and then you'll win.
Right.
So they do have to cast aggressive people like Cody who are really bad at playing the game but really aggressive and competitive, because that'll make those first couple weeks like super great, like how it was this season. But then the problem is if you cast no strategic minds and no people who are like, the poker player type, then you don't have good gameplay in the middle and the end of the season. And we saw the first 3 weeks of this season were it was like the best start, one of the best starts.
Man, I was excited. I thought it started really good. I was like, man, this could get really good really fast. But then it just came to a complete stop.
This is going to be the worst season of all time right here. So that just goes to show, what's more important when you're casting. You got to think about those things. Is it more important that I make these first 3 weeks entertaining? Maybe it is. Maybe they've studied the numbers, and if somebody watches the first 3 weeks, they'll watch the whole thing. For me personally, the way I am when I watch shows, I get hooked, man. And to be honest, if I didn't go overseas with my Army unit for about a month, I was forced to not watch for like 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that kind of helped me get out of it. And then when I got back and saw what was going on, I was like, you know what, I can do without. But if I hadn't left, if I had stayed here, I probably would still be watching. That's the truth. So they might say, hey, we don't have to worry if it's a good season. We just need those first 2 weeks to get the viewers hooked. And then we got their asses, and they're going to watch every episode.
Right.
So I'm sure there's a science behind it. I mean, I'm sure if they were hurting, with viewers, they would change it up. So unfortunately, this is the product. This is what works. A lot of it too, Russell, is, and you can give me your theory, but I believe that because there are so few shows like this, there's no show like Big Brother or Survivor. MTV has the challenge that could be in that same category, but there's so few. We don't have other options as viewers. So if we're into this type of thing, it's like if you're in a prison in a third world country. If they feed you dog food, well, that's all you got. So you're going to have to eat the dog food because you don't have other options. Right. So I don't know. It sucks, but it's how it is.
So what do you think about the blatantly bullying, like Josh? Like, what the hell is he doing? Alex, you got again, you have Cody about to get on the jury to vote for $500,000, and you have Alex, like, she's losing her mind. Like, she went up to Mark. I don't know if you've seen this on live feeds, but about the pillows and stuff, and she's going off. Then she goes up to Cody. He's reading the Bible. She goes off on him. She goes off on Cody again for eating her cereal. Alex, you're in the game for $500,000. This person could be able to vote for you. Fuck the cereal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cereal. You get it for $2.50 at the local Walmart right down the road.
Oh, dude, it's amazing how people don't see the. Yeah, you gotta constantly, like, for me and you, it's natural. But if it's not natural for you, you're probably not smart enough to remind yourself. But fucking go into that house and remind yourself constantly. That's what it takes for you to stay focused. Constantly in your head, tell yourself $500,000, and just fucking make decisions that make sense and help you get that $500,000, not decisions that hurt you in it.
I'm telling you, man, they lose their minds. They lose their minds or something.
Yeah,
even my kids, 17 years old, she's like, what is she doing? Isn't he, she literally said this, isn't he the one that votes for $500,000? It was the first time ever watching Big Brother in her life. Then you have Alex. I show her a clip because I'm getting her into it because I'm watching it all the time. So I show her the clip and she's like, what is she doing? And that's over cereal? Like, this is a game for $1 million, and that's the guy that votes for her. Yes, that's correct. I don't get it. So it's crazy.
I want to dive into. I want to get deep real here with. You're talking about bullying, and bullying is something that comes up with this show, and I think people are saying it just because they don't like the people. So a lot of people watch the show and they don't like someone, so they watch them on the feeds, and like they did it to Cody earlier, where they watch every word they say and they try to twist it against them, and they're like, oh, you're bullying people, so they want to pull the bully card out.
But the thing is, you see Mark sitting there. He's sitting there, quiet, calm, talking calmly. Cody, same way, sitting there, calm, not doing a damn thing. And everybody else is screaming and hollering and throwing pot and pans, and they say, oh, they're bullying too. Well, what? I mean, what are you guys doing? What I'm thinking is they're showboating. What I'm thinking is people like Josh are showboating, and they're trying to become evil Dick, which that's not going to happen, buddy. So tell me your take on it.
Okay, so here's my theory. This is big picture reality TV. I like to look at the timeline where it started, where it's at now, and I like thinking about where it's going to go. If you rewatch early seasons of Survivor and Big Brother, I'm more familiar with Survivor. I've seen all the seasons of that. Big Brother, I've seen most seasons. When it first started, season 1 of Survivor, and almost the first 5 seasons of Survivor, people looked at an alliance as if that was the devil's word. Like, they didn't want to make an alliance. Obviously, where Survivor is now. You've definitely played a part in people realizing, oh, this is just a game. I can completely throw my, what I stand for and who I am as a person out the door in order to win the game.
You're saying I'm a game changer?
Of course, yes, slightly, but you didn't get on the season,
right? So that's what I'm saying.
Claim the title.
I can't claim the title.
So now people are doing some really shady stuff that if you were to play the game like how people play today back then, you'd be looked like people would look at you like you're evil. Now it's started becoming more acceptable now a lot of stuff is really acceptable. And it got me thinking when we saw the Varner situation where he called Zeke out and it was like really awkward and really crossed the line. I'm thinking, obviously that happened how it happened, but I'm thinking if somebody goes on these shows and wants to take it a step further, they could open the door to people accepting some ridiculous stuff like bullying and like stuff that they don't like now. And I think that could be the next level of ridiculousness in these games. So for example, Russell, say I'm in Survivor, I'm on the island, and I've played a solid game so far. I go up to the guy who is the gay dude, and I say, hey, man, I wanted to, or maybe I'm having a one-on-one with him at like a reward or something, and I say, I'm gay too. And that'll get his trust hard, and people at home would be like, oh my God, he's lying about being
and I
gay.
haven't came out the closet yet, and I'm telling you. Yeah.
But you could then say, I want $1 million if you win and you used it well and you played that well. There's other situations too that are really messed up. Like maybe you lie, like somebody you're having a one-on-one building that relationship, and it comes out that they like lost their parents when they were younger. You could say, I never knew my dad, and you just go on this,
it could get
story.
deep. It could get real deep.
And it'll be a lot of people will really have a problem with it. But if it works for one person and they do like 3 incredibly messed up things and it works for them, they win $1 million, they can say, hey, I'm actually a really good person in real life. I had to do what I had to do to win the money. I'm donating 10% I'm donating $100,000 to charity, whatever. And that'll just change the game to the next level. So I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, where can it go? Because I feel like these games are kind of hitting a ceiling. They're kind of plateauing where, like, we see the same thing every season, like 1 million backstabs, 5 immunity idols, hidden immunity idols, all these twists. And it's just like, I want to see somebody go on there change the game.
Yeah, what about this one? You fake your daughter's death right before you go on there, and everybody in the world thinks she's dead.
Yes, that is...
It's a strategic play.
It turns out you never even had a daughter, and you just made the whole thing up. And you swore on some dead daughter the entire game, and you never even had a daughter. And like
you swore on your dead daughter's grave.
You know what, Russell? Actually, you could bust it out. Oh man, this is really messed up, but this is interesting.
Yeah.
How Adam, his mom died of cancer.
Right.
That's like an epic story. I think that's like that.
And it's a true story.
That's all. Yeah, obviously.
But you're going into what if?
That was awesome.
What if it wasn't? But it was.
Yeah,
just to tell the listeners, it's a true story.
So
Adam didn't lie. Yeah. That's true.
Now that would take some serious acting skill, but if you're at, so Adam, man, I'm a big. I love how he won the game, and I love that he won, and I love that story. To me, is one of the most special things I've seen on reality TV. And I think it's awesome, and I'm so glad he won that season. But I was just thinking, like, he really sealed the deal by not telling anyone about that, because it's kind of, obviously Raven is sketchy, but a lot of people in the house, within that Big Brother house, they believe her, and they probably would give her the money at the end. But she's telling everyone now. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, we can't let Raven get to the end. What Adam did was he was very smart in not telling anyone about it until he had already got to the final tribal. Right. So if you were going to be this person that we're creating that would just cross all sorts of lines,
man, that's crazy. Let me tell you something.
At the final, and
this is
win.
the problem
You'd
with
win.
that.
If you convince the jury, you would win.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. On the second time I played, my grandmother died. Now, my dad and my mom did not want to tell me. It was my father's mother, and I was close with her. And nobody wanted to tell me anything, and they did not tell me until it was all over. Till I got home, I was in L.A., and the producer comes in there and tells me, because they just got a call. They didn't even tell producers because they were afraid they were going to yank me from the game. Or my dad was afraid that they would think that I was lying, and that that if they told me that, obviously I would know it'd be true. And then if somebody would say you're lying, I would literally go off on them. Just like Cody said he would have done with the daughter thing. That's why he didn't bring that up. And my dad knows who I am as a person. You cannot tell me I'm lying about something so important to me when it's the truth. So, it can go both ways, man. You can say that that's the truth and then, talk about it and everybody's thinking he's full of shit or she's full of shit. That ain't happened. Nothing, he's just trying to get sympathy to win the game. It could hurt you or help you. It could go both ways.
I don't think they would. They wouldn't be smart enough. You would get them with it because it'd have to be something so crazy that they wouldn't question it. That's the trick.
That they can't question it because they would.
You're right. If anyone did, you freak out. But I was saying for that one, bust that shit out at Final Tribal. So it's going to be a quick reaction. They're not really going to have time to digest it. But then, there's always because gosh, I'm forgetting their names, but I think it's Brett. Brett opened up to Zeke. That built a nice trust there. That's where that one came from. Yeah. So you're straight, but you tell the gay guy, hey, I'm actually gay too. Build the trust there. Right. Deep stuff.
I see where you're going.
Dying and stuff. It's messed up.
Now Zeke, here's another thing, man. This is what happened. I don't know if you listened to my Max and Korean podcast. You listened to that recently? It's really good. You need to listen to it. It's one of our best podcasts.
I just got back.
Okay. But anyway, check it out, and you'll hear this. What happens is Varner goes to that Hearts of Reality Give Kids the World event in Orlando, right? Well, they completely ignore him. They say that he's sitting by himself. Everybody's ignoring him because what he did to Zeke. And now Varner...
They boycotted him.
They boycotted Varner. Now, that's some bullshit.
Okay, so, solid. Varner's the type of person that wants positive support. It's going to take someone who doesn't give a shit and is down with being a villain to do this. And they don't cast too many people with that mindset, but it's got to be someone. There are people, and I'm one of them, that if you hate on me, I kind of take it as a compliment, and it kind of fuels the fire.
How about the crew? Because I want to talk to you specifically about when you were left, like if you've seen the crew after the fact. Because they completely ignored me, season 19 and season 20, and completely. They didn't want to be my friend after it was all over. It showed how bitter they really were. They didn't want to be my friend. They didn't want to talk to me. They completely ignored me. I remember coming back on the airport. I was sitting by myself at the table, and I was thinking, what the hell? I've never was the unpopular kid in all my life in anything I've ever done. And then all of a sudden I'm being ignored, and then it was so overwhelmingly positive for me when I get off the bus, when we're all together and the fans see us, because I would get off. This is how it went down. I mean, Rupert would get off. It was little crowds here and there. Rob would get off. JT would get off. They would, JT. When I got off, Russell, everybody went crazy. And I was like, yeah, motherfuckers, in your face. You can hate me all you want, but my fans love me, and that's what mattered to me. But if I would have came out the island, dude, and I would have got negative publicity from my fans, because that's who followed me, my fans. And I maybe once out of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, maybe once somebody said something negative to me. And I did events all the time. I did not charity events, but I did charity as well, but I did paid signings to where people would go there and see me get in line at casinos, and I would have thousands. And if it wasn't for my fans, man, I would have broke down. I think, and I'm a strong dude.
Yeah.
I'm a real strong dude, but I had so much personal stuff going on at the same time with all this going on. So it was a really tough spot for me. And my fans are what kept me going. Not the people I played with, none of them. And people, they wonder why I get upset when I say negative things on Twitter to Sandra or negative things to Boston, because they bullied me me when we were coming off that island. I played better than them, and then they did what they did. And Sandra always calling me fat and this and that. So when it's time to call her fat, oh, they're like, oh, you're wrong for that. You're wrong for that. I'm like, that's not Sandra. That's somebody that ate Sandra. And then now I talk about her. Now it's all, oh, you shouldn't do that. So, it's just me getting payback. That's what it is. Karma is a bitch, people. So what was you going to say? What was your experience like when you came back?
What's my take?
Yeah.
It's similar. So, it's amazing. And I kind of saw it coming a little, but I mean, it's so hardcore that I didn't think it would be this level. But the producers act like they're your best friend so much, and you think like it's so genuine. It's scary how they're able to fake such a genuine relationship with you, and then they just don't talk to you, don't want to talk to you at all, don't want to text you, nothing afterwards. And the truth is, if you are to get super famous, I guarantee you they'd want to be your friend then.
Yes.
And if you have something to offer them, they want in on it,
Right.
And they're just using you as a prop for their show. It does remind me of, and I see how people get depressed and stuff, but it does remind me of this show called The Joe Schmo Show. It's the reality show that's not real. Have you heard of it?
I heard of that.
Yeah, so one guy, it's like a house show, think like a show like Big Brother where there's a $100,000 prize for the winner. The trick is they have one lovable guy, he's kind of like the lovable loser, average Joe type guy, real good dude. And then everyone else is actors. And it's fucking hilarious. It's one of my favorite shows ever. And I watched it I must have watched it when I was 8 or 9 because I was in elementary school. But I have it on DVD now. I've watched it a couple times, as I've grown older and stuff. But I did research on it because I was like, man, I want to see what this dude's up to now. And it turns out after the show, he thought he was friends with all of them. Then it turns out, oh, by the way, we're actors, paid actors. And then it turns out they didn't talk to him anymore. And he thought he was boys with a couple of them.
Wow.
And he got depressed, suicidal, got hooked on drugs with his money. And it was a whole mess. And, I reached out to him on social media before I knew this because I just looked him up and found him. And it seemed like he didn't want to talk about the show or anything. It definitely, had a huge negative impact on him. You talk about the girl who hung herself, I know.
Right.
So this is definitely something to be if you go on a TV show, it's something to be aware of before you go on.
Right, and that's
that
a totally
producers are not your friend.
Yeah, that's another conversation that I want to have one day with. They need to do more. The networks need to do more. They talk about Brandon and how crazy he is. Okay, you can talk about that all you want. Why aren't you helping him? If you think he's that crazy enough not to ask back to do a reality show, how come your doctors aren't reaching out to him? That's my point. You get somebody in there and you don't help
tough.
them. Brandon was a teenager, I think, 19, maybe 20 when his first time he played. Dude, I couldn't have did that game at that age. We've been through some crazy things in this family, the Hance family, and everybody endures tragics in their life. And you move on from it. What makes you stronger is when you can get up from that and move on from it. Well, Brandon was a child playing a game for $1 million. It was obviously he wasn't ready for that. It was obvious. And it was obvious that he shouldn't have been called back to the psychiatrist. I know it. You seen his first season? It was obvious he shouldn't have played again. Not right now. Maybe 5-10 years down the road when he has more wisdom in him. I just don't like it when they say, oh, he's crazy, he'll never play again because he's just something's loose up there. Well, why don't you get him some help so you can tighten it up and help him, to where...
Yeah, so it's tough, though, dude. I mean, you can't... I kind of see it where you can't expect them to, provide counseling for every contestant.
But they know, man.
Show.
That's the thing is, there's not that many. They know. They know Brandon could use some help. He could use some professional help.
You know what, actually, Russell? My Stranded actually provided a counselor. I got his contact info, and he kind of has the door open anytime we need him. So they at least put us in touch.
No, well,
with,
they will give you a
guy,
number
so
where you can call. You can call a number, but they have that. Brandon can call anytime. But the thing is, when somebody may I'm not saying Brandon has a mental problem. I don't think he does personally, but they do. So let's say that he does, just for shits and giggles. So if they think he does, then obviously Brandon himself isn't going to think that he does. So he's ain't going to make any phone call. He don't know any.
Yeah.
He, in his mind, he thinks he's fine. So, maybe the doctor should reach out. And I'm not saying they should reach out to every single individual, because every single individual is a different case. And the ones you should reach out to, doctor. And you just don't, it doesn't happen like that. The girl that hung herself, was there signs? I don't want to get into any extreme details because I don't want to hurt anybody, but I know a lot about that situation. That's why I talk about it. And I know the doctor was extremely affected by that after the fact. Now, my point is, that's a good lesson learned. It's a hard lesson learned, but it should be wisdom. It should be a good lesson learned where you can learn from that. Don't let it happen again. That's all I'm saying. If something happened to Brandon and Brandon did something like that, I would hold them partly responsible, personally, as a family member.
Yeah, and legally they would be responsible, but legally they wouldn't at all.
Right.
And I don't know. I see it. It's interesting because a lot of stuff that goes on, it should be illegal, but there's no one there watching over it, So
Right.
It's kind of like you're filming in another country. You got nobody playing by any sort of rules or laws or anything.
Right.
They can get away with whatever they want, and in some cases, bad things have happened. And I would say if anyone's interested in what goes on behind the scenes of TV shows, we're not allowed to talk about specifics. But there was this really cool show that I watched called Unreal, and it basically is designed to make fun of how The Bachelor is produced.
Right.
So it's set up like that.
Right.
And people watch it and they're like, "Oh, it's not really that bad." But it's the funny thing within, reality TV, the community of producers and stuff. A producer told me about the show to watch it. Actually, they laugh at it because they're like, "Yep, that is true. We all go into another country, get drunk, see how far we can manipulate people, and we cheat when we go do these shows. It's like a big circle of people hooking up, like a high school type of bubble, and it's just it's a really messed up thing. But Unreal is a good show to watch, just to kind of open your mind to oh, so that's how it might go down. That is possible. But it's still, for me, I kind of look at it as part of the game now, and I think it's just another element when I'm out there strategizing. Yeah, so what do you think of this? So obviously there's people that production loves and there's people that production hates. Paul is an example of someone they love. Would you say it's strategy to network with producers? If you go on a show and you're competing for a prize like Big Brother, for example, and you're able to network with producers so well that they not only invite you back to the next season, but they basically rig the next season so hard that you're guaranteed
kind of like
to
Boston
win
Rob.
Would you? Yes, yeah, that's a Survivor equivalent. They
Right.
hooked him up pretty well.
Right.
Would you say that if for somebody going on, say you get cast for the next seasons that film for Survivor, if I was giving my friend advice going on that show, I would kind of coach him through how he should put himself in that Boston Rob position, in that Paul
Definitely.
position, because that's
Man,
not part of the game.
you know what I tell
Networking
them?
with producers is more important than anything now.
You know what I tell the people that go in there? I'm like, if you're going after the star, do not say it. Do not tell them anything. Act like you're going to work with them. If you want them gone, do it at the last second. But you have to, And if I was part of that team, you know, the stars that go back into the shows, which I have been, I work with the producers. You have to. I don't do what they tell me to do, but I know they control the game. I went up to one guy. I'll tell you a little behind the scenes thing. In Survivor, they don't allow you to talk without the cameras there. Cameras are always there. Well, yeah. I used it for my advantage with one of the players in season 22 when I played. The helicopters come over you and they get their views of. That's how you see when you're looking down. Every once in a while, you'll see that view from a helicopter. Well, when the helicopter comes over you, nobody can hear you. There's no mics available. So I went up to one of the guys and I said, dude, who do you think that the producers want to go for in this game? And I said, think about that for a second. When the helicopters leave, think about that. I said, if you're with me, don't you think you would go further in this game? So
very solid. Very good work.
And he did not budge from what he wanted to do. I was like, man, think about it. And that may be what they're doing with Paul. They may be thinking about it and saying, hey.
That's Paul could use Paul, and you did it when no cameras were around, no mics. Paul may have done that when, because there's times in Big Brother, especially during the competitions, where he knows that it's not on live feeds, and he could drop that on somebody and say, think about it, dude. I'm the ratings here. Producers want to keep me around. So if you are working with me, you're going to go far too. And that makes a lot of sense, even to somebody who's not that smart, like all of the Big Brother cast this season. And if Paul says that to somebody, that's going to reel them into his side real quick. So that's, Paul might have used that.
It works.
Paul, that would be
it works, but it didn't work for me. I don't know why. I don't know how he didn't. Because anybody smart would be like, he's right. Let's team up with Russell. Let's get five. Let's get five together, and we run this show. We just run it. Because I'm honest with my alliance. I just need to get that alliance at first, So
yeah, totally, man.
So what do you think about, did you see the footage of Josh banging the pans, like literally in Mark's face?
Yeah. So
okay, what would you do? Because if that would have been Cody, he would have got punched. I don't think Cody could have took that. I really don't.
Funny.
Because Cody reminds me of myself a little bit, and I wanted to get into that. I also wanted to get into him taking up for Jessica. Now he's taking up for Jessica because to him, it's not a game anymore. It wasn't a game anymore, and I get it. I understood where he was at, and then the thing that I didn't like was Jessica actually got mad at him for taking up for her. Which I don't know if that was an act. I don't know what the hell that was, but I know probably 95% of the population out there want their man to take up for them, and they're okay with it. And Jessica acted like she wasn't, like she was some kind of humongous giant snowflake, that didn't want your man to even take up for you.
Yeah. So what I would do if somebody's playing that on me, and I did this in Stranded too, actually.
The pots and pans. Yeah.
No, I didn't do pots and pans, but
no, I'm just saying what would idea.
I should there's a time in Stranded when I should have bust that out and I fucked up, but what I did when people are doing you wrong and pissing you off in a game like this, you got to be patient. And in this case, what I would have done is I would have stayed silent, stayed composed, and I would have gotten my revenge by beating them. And unfortunately, on this cast, you're not seeing anyone really do that, where they're able. With Cody and Jessica, when Jessica won HOH, man, that was their chance.
That was it.
Really,
that was it. And they're not smart enough to make.
That's your chance to stand up to the bully, right?
And they wasn't smart enough. They wasn't smart enough to make a mistake like she made, and be able to get out of that mistake. You just would. So once you make that,
what I would have done was I would have taken them out. I would have won HOH, and I would have taken somebody out that was part of that side that was against me. Yeah,
right. That's common sense.
So don't punch them. Don't punch them because then they win. You get kicked off the show, and they're bragging that they got you kicked off.
I know we're talking about this again and again, but she's like, well, I just don't want to stir up anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and put you up, Ramses. I'm like, wait, you don't have anything to stir up. You're already in trouble. But anyway, that's just that move blew me away. I couldn't believe that happened. And terrible move. I'm sure she knows it's a bad move. Cody even says he's a bad player. They're not good players, neither of them. They were entertaining.
Nothing wrong with that. You know, they added value to the show, not from a strategic standpoint. What this season is missing and what the show's what all these shows in 2017 are missing and in recent years is heavy strategy, savvy competitors, people who are super competitive and super smart about it. And that's not always in the form of a nerd. It's not always in that Cochran type that they like to give us. We had Cameron this season that bounced after like 30 minutes, but it doesn't. Right. You can find people who are studs like Cody that can win physical comps, and they're also smart. So I would like to see somebody that's the full package go on those shows.
Right.
I think I should be the one that does it, but
right.
I'm sure you can find somebody.
Yeah.
But.
And it's crazy, man. Paul. It's not even hardly fun to talk about at this point, because if I ask you the question, who do you think's going to win the game? It's like, okay, Paul. So it's not like that was my next question, and I'm thinking to myself before I ask it, it's a stupid question because it's not entertaining. My job is to entertain, and they're not entertaining. So the big question is, when are they going to get rid of Paul? Because if they got rid of Paul, then we can say, all right, now who...
Okay, yeah. So whoever takes out Paul is the one that's going to win.
Whoever takes out Paul.
Like you said, I mean, man, if you take out Paul, it's going to get really boring. So they need Paul there just so that the viewer can be hooked into, well, I'm watching just to root against Paul. I want to see someone take him out. And then it never happens.
Right.
Well, you just tuned in every week, you gave them their view, and that's all they care about.
So the question is, who's going to take out Paul? I think Christmas has that capability, and I think Paul knows it. But I don't think anybody else is going to take him out, man. You see Kevin saying these things and doing these social things and getting friends with people before they leave the game, and then all of a sudden he votes the way the house wants. So I don't think Kevin has balls enough to do it. Josh definitely doesn't. Mark, he's going to follow. Matthew, same thing. Raven. Before we go, I want to talk about Raven a little bit. And do you know anything on Raven, like personally? Have you heard anything? Because I know she has the scar, so obviously she has a disease. I tried to look up the disease.
Her pacemaker is in her body. There's a pacemaker in her body, that's for sure.
Okay, yes, and I read on this, and it did not say that there was 7 and then you're dead, or whatever number she said.
So there's a lot of people that actually have the things that she's claiming to have, and they're pointing out things that she's saying that are false. So basically, what it translates to is she's a piece of shit. And you shouldn't believe anything she's saying.
She has something in her, though. She definitely has the scar. She has something. So if she has a pacemaker, then she has some sort of disease. Because we have family members that have really. I have somebody extremely close to me that has what is that? Where you almost have to wear a bag on the outside. What's the name of that disease? I don't
know. I haven't done research on it just because Raven, take all that out of the equation. Raven as a character just annoys me so much that I don't have a lot of interest in her. But I can tell you this, dude. There's no way in hell that hashtag, Raven Exposed Party, there's no way in hell that would have as much steam as it has if it was not legit, if she wasn't legitimately saying things that contradict herself. I mean, if you want to go in on her and hate on her hard, do research before.
That's the thing, man.
Get the facts.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I haven't done research, so
I haven't. What I want to do is I want to get her. I want to actually get her mother on, and then I want after her mother. After her mother, I want to get a doctor on, and I want to talk about what her mother just said. So
that's a great idea.
So I don't know if that's going to happen, but I've been trying to work on that to find out, because I don't want to say something She's saying she could die, or she is dying.
She should want to, man.
Well, no.
Her mom should want to, because if
defend your daughter.
What Raven is
Defend
saying
her.
is true, she can quit. And if what Raven's saying is true, and all these people on Twitter are wrong, her mom could easily defend her and correct it and squash the bug and stop Raven Exposed Party. And then all of a sudden you stop it, then Raven has even more of a case of why people should donate to her GoFundMe, because she's like, not only am I about to die or could die at any moment, like she's been saying, but a bunch of people questioned me and attacked me on Twitter. So, yeah, that could definitely tap into some sympathy donations.
I think it'd be a good episode.
And what's messed up, though, is she clearly has a lot of money and is using money on, like, materialistic things. It's a tough one, though, actually, because you think about it. Somebody, I saw this tweet that was like, it was hating on, Raven is saying, if I was $200,000 in medical debt, I wouldn't be carrying around designer purses. But I kind of think, if you're in a spot where you could die at any moment and you're $200,000 in debt, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm not paying my bills.
About a debt? I mean, you're going to die before you're not going to live till you're 80 anyways. I mean, who cares? Bring on the debt,
Right.
So
that might be her way of thinking.
That was a stupid argument. So, yeah, just because she's spending her money in ways that you wouldn't think someone would, put yourself in their shoes. If you were in that spot, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be setting up a retirement account if I was,
That's for damn sure.
So, yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
and I don't know about her. I don't know. I don't want to say something like that when we just don't know, and I would like to get more information straight from her mother and then find out exactly what it is and where we can actually put a stop to it. By the way, I just wanted to say this real quick. For you guys that might not know this, I've been getting a call. It's just happened just now, just to help some of the listeners. This is totally off topic. But I've been getting a call from someone saying that it's an officer and I have done fraud on my tax returns and to call immediately before they come and arrest me. Now, I know exactly what that is. It's a scam. So I tried to answer, and then it went straight to voicemail when I actually answered and told me to call another number. So what I want to do is I want to record that shit, and I want to record the conversation with the number that I call. Like, hey, nice. What do I need to do? So I'm just throwing this out there, guys. Don't get fooled by these people trying to scam you over taxes or anything else. Yeah. Look into it before you give them money. So that's just a side,
sad, man.
That's
it's
just
sad.
a side note.
It happens a lot with grandparents, I know.
Yeah, and I went straight to my mom's house and I said, "Mom, this is what's going on," because she would fall for it.
Yeah.
If you think if you think an officer is coming to your house, you're going to give them $500 if you have your retirement in the bank.
It's because the older people, they grew up in a time where people weren't all so sleazy. And then the younger people are like, yeah, we're aware this is a messed up world and it's only getting worse. So we're like, we hear it and we're like, oh no, that's a scam. Whereas they're like, oh God, an officer's coming to my house. People have gotten scammed a lot more than 500. So yeah, right. I get those calls all the time for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, man, I just wanted to say that lastly to make sure that, I hate people that scam people, and I want to make sure that if you get that call, you need to talk to your grandmother, talk to your mom, make sure that they know that these calls are going around right now. But anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I think you can make a permanent guest, man, because you got to watch it though. You got to watch the season.
Yeah. So I would say this: if it weren't for that invite, I would probably stop watching TV. So I'm not going to watch Big Brother. Maybe I will because my girlfriend watches it. I'll for sure watch Survivor. That for the sole purpose.
Have you been watching Australian Survivor?
No, I need to though.
Dude.
That's pure. They're in their second season.
Yes, dude.
Basically.
I'm gonna send you something.
It's still pure.
Yes,
it's still pure.
I'm gonna send you something where you can watch it without having to worry about.
Thank you.
Where you can watch it without having to worry about finding it and all that stuff.
That's what I need.
Fortunately, I have that kind of information, but I'm going to go ahead and send it to you because I want to talk to you about what's going on. Dude, it is... They got a guy that's playing right now. No, this is totally off topic, but he's pure genius, man. His name is... I ain't even say his name. I ain't going to say his name. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to let you start watching that, and maybe we could do some talks on that. All right, man.
Yeah, okay. Hell yeah. That's what I want to watch. And I'll watch American Survivor this fall just for the sake of talking with you about it. I'm about to go on Dick at Night, so I'm about to force myself to watch some of BB19. So, I mean, Dick's a legend. I mean,
He's a legend, man. It's funny how people take... You think he would have... He's a game changer. Dick's a game changer. He's a legend legend in the game. And that's the bottom line.
To have the opportunity to talk TV stuff with you guys, I'll suck it up and watch some of this crappy stuff they're putting out.
Hey, man, I got to watch that stupid-ass season. You got to watch it.
Hey, and everyone listening to this podcast, if you've listened this far... You can obviously, put up with me. So watch my show, Stranded with $1 Million.
I was so into that show, man. If you haven't watched Stranded with $1 Million, seriously, the show is over. I'm not trying to give them ratings. If you just sitting on your couch and you're flipping through the channels, you need to watch the show because when I started watching it, I was like, holy shit. Like, it is that type of... You will say that once or twice or 3 times during the season. It is a great, entertaining season of Stranded, and the reason it is because of you, Cody, and that's a fact. I'm not trying to bump up the season ratings because it's over and it might not get signed again. But if you guys want to see some entertainment, I'm telling you. And then when you watch it, tweet to me and him, tell us you watched it, and you won't regret it. I promise you.
Hell yeah! I mean, it's rare to see a show that is that great, start to finish, in modern day reality TV.
It's
like
really entertaining.
That type of show to come out in 2017, and what's crazy, bro, is like this is what makes me question the entire system. That show, just from an entertainment standpoint, was much better than anything I've seen, since like the last 3 to 5 years.
I don't understand it, man, because you watched their show Flipped Off. Have you ever seen Flipped Off? I mean,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, watch Flipped Off and then watch the other TV shows like Stranded. You watch that. Yeah, you watch these other shows that's getting second seasons. Dude, I don't get it. Sometimes I think it's straight politics.
That's what I'm saying. Stranded hasn't got a second season, and then that makes me think, okay, it's all about money. Everything in life is all about money, right? So MTV and CBS and all the channels, they have to do whatever is going to bring the money in. And I just assume that if you have a better, more entertaining show, it leads to more viewers, and then it leads to more money. But for some reason, there's got to be something where it doesn't matter about how entertaining the show is, because if it was about entertainment, there'd be a lot of shows that get canceled, and then Stranded, and I think you were saying Flipped Off is really good, and it hasn't got a second season.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They would get immediate second season. And I don't get it, dude, because it's like, I'm not happy about everything with how Stranded was done. I think it could have been done better. Like, I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and that's what's scary, dude. I think Stranded is legitimately MTV's best show. If they make it into a series, I think it will rise above The Challenge, which is their top show, and go far beyond where Are You the One is.
I agree with that.
I think Are You the One's getting where it's like super repetitive. You can only watch the most ridiculously good-looking people just hook up and crossover hookups. Right. It's the same thing every season. So I think Stranded has potential to rise very high and become a show that could maybe, if they do it right, they could get it on the level.
I agree with that, man.
Big Brother and Survivor are on another level than The Challenge, but they could get Stranded to where it's like their top show above The Challenge. And they it's been a while. I mean, I filmed Stranded like a year and a half ago, and they haven't filmed season 2. I got the inside scoop from some of the Fijians, so those guys will talk, they won't keep you in the dark. It hasn't even filmed season 2. It hasn't got renewed. It hasn't gotten canceled though. So I'm hoping that it comes. And like you said, you said I was a legend in Stranded, but it's not really a series. It's interesting too because I have a very small following because not very many people watched. But if they made Stranded a series, well, then that would raise my star power. And I guarantee you, if they make it into a series that lasts over 5 years, I mean, people are going to binge watch the past seasons, and then it's going to be like they're going to have to bring me back. But it's weird because I've had a hard time like pinpointing what it is in the past. Like when I try to explain to people, like I have no interest in working with MTV, they're unprofessional, and everyone's like, oh, well, you're just hard to work with, you're whining, whatever. What it is, man, is like it's blackmail. Like they would say, if you don't act this way, well, then we'll do this to you. If you don't do this, we'll do that. And that's where I draw the line where I'm like, I was willing, because this has been a dream of mine to go on shows and go on the challenge and stuff. I'll kiss your ass all day long. I don't think I should have to, but I'll do it. But I'm not going to let you like blackmail me and tell me to do things like control what my mom's doing and stuff like that, all in the name of some show where you're not guaranteed shit, because you could go on a show where they're rigging the season for so-and-so and you don't even know it. So
right.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know. It's a lot of negative.
Good show.
I'm very I'm confused with. Yeah, it's a good watch. So if you're into watching shows,
because usually if they did another season, I guarantee you they would almost double their viewers. Maybe not double, but they'd get close to it. And then that's how you have to build seasons, just like American Grit is doing. Their first season wasn't all that good. Their second season was better than the first season. So all of a sudden they're getting a viewing audience. Their third season could be even better. So sometimes you have to build these things. It's not always Mark Burnett. It's not always Survivor and Big Brother and then bam, 70 million people are watching. Sometimes you have to build.
Yeah, well, no doubt. And it's freaking shocking to me that a network would take on a reality competition show. And if I'm a network and I'm taking a reality competition show, right, I'm at least giving it 3 seasons before I say, all right, you're done. Because I know it takes that much time. Now, with Survivor, it came back. That was years ago. Back then, we didn't have a lot of the sources of entertainment we have now. Now we got Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. What it's done is it's made our attention span a lot shorter. So, like, we want to watch a clip that's like 15 seconds and makes us laugh our ass off. It's like the immediate payout. Whereas with these shows, it takes a lot more time commitment. Sometimes it takes weeks of watching a show before you see that moment. You see when somebody finally turns against Paul, and it's such a big payout because you waited so long for it. So reality TV is not going to go viral or pick up steam, pick up millions of viewers as fast as it used to. So you got to understand that, and you got to give a show more seasons. But it's crazy, man. I mean, you never know, though. I mean, I honestly don't understand how it works, and I've tried to, but it just doesn't make any sense because you got crappy shows getting, a bunch of seasons, and you got great shows not getting renewed, and it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Okay, man. Well, it was sure nice having you, and I'm gonna have you back, and you're gonna do your thing. I'm gonna send you that Australian stuff, and we're gonna have you back on the show pretty soon, man. You're too entertaining not to. But that was
yeah, you're the man, Russell.
All right, man. That was some good stuff, and I'll get with you later. Appreciate you coming. Become a patron and get more content and bonus episodes, including video commentary of every episode of Survivor Samoa, weekly episodes of Whining with Wine, and you can become a patron for as low as $5. $5 gets you Russell's Alliance, $10 and you become a game changer, $25 and you're a legend. Go to patreon.com/RussellHance.